Chapter 1 in our personal finance course. We want to first define what is personal finance. So, this is the process of planning your spending, financing, and investing to optimize your financial situation. So, when we talk about a personal financial plan, we think about what are your specific financial goals. Whether it's to buy a house, buy a car, go to school, save for retirement. What type of things are you spending money on? We focus on those. How are you going to finance those purchases? What type of plans do you have for investments? We answer those type of questions and look at different scenarios when we're preparing what's known as a personal financial plan. Look at opportunity costs, which is what you give up as a result of your decision. So right now you are in school. So if you are a full-time student, that may mean that you get an opportunity to work a full-time job. Although some may do both, some students choose not to work or at least work full-time while you're in school. So opportunity cost is what you're giving up as a result of your decision. And we'll look at how the decision that you're making, all of the opportunity costs, hope in the long run, the decisions you're making will be for your benefit. So with a financial plan, there's components of a financial plan. We'll look at budgeting and tax planning, managing your liquidity, financing your large purchases, protecting your assets and income, investing your money, planning your retirement and estates. So these are the most common components that make up what's known as a financial plan. Budgeting is extremely important. I strongly recommend that you all create a monthly budget. The monthly budget is going to forecast your future expenses and savings. So create your own financial plan to show what assets do you currently own, whether it's your home, your car, savings account, investment. What is the value of all of your assets? Then, what are your liabilities? What do you owe? Credit cards, student loan, mortgages, car note payments. I said car note parents because some of you owe your parents money too, right? So look at your different forms of debt when it comes to your liabilities. And to determine what is your net worth, you subtract your liabilities from your asset. If that number is positive, it means you have a positive net worth. But if that number is negative, you have a negative net worth. And your goal is to increase your net worth by increasing your assets and also by reducing your liabilities. So budgeting and tax planning has a big impact on your ability to save. So look at this first chart. This chart shows someone who is a big spender. And notice that they're spending most of the money earned after taxes compared to saving. Does this illustration, is this you? Hopefully more on this side, where this person is a big saver. So although, the spending is still probably about 60%, they're trying to save 40% of their income after taxes and put into some type of a savings. And we'll talk about the benefit of doing that compared to just spending all of your money that you earn each pay period. Liquidity focus on your access to funds to cover any short-term cash deficiencies. What we're saying here is that if you look at all of your expenses, so get all your bills out, card note, mortgage payments, student loans, credit cards, money spent on food, entertainment, etc. You're comparing all of your expenditures or expenses to the money that you have coming in. And if you have a deficiency, meaning that you see that next month I'm going to be short, do you have funds to cover any of those short-term cash deficiencies? Meaning, do I have liquid funds, money in a bank somewhere, money in a checking account, savings account, money in an investment account that is short-term that I can use to offset my cash deficiencies? So it is important that you have funds available to take care of any type of short-term cash deficiency. Credit management. Credit such as credit cards, credit such as financing your car, financing your house. The decisions you make pertaining to your credit are critical decisions. You want to make sure that if you're using credit, you're using credit wisely. Sometimes credit cards give us a false sense of security and we purchase items that we really can't afford, but because we're not paying for it right then and there, then we say we'll get it and pay for it later, and sometimes that gets us into trouble. So it's important that you really take a look at your decisions when it comes to credit management and make sure that when you use credit, you are using credit wisely. So let's take a look at money management. You want to also have what I like to call emergency funds. You want to have funds available when needed. It's also good to manage your credit, meaning that you do have access to credit if needed as well. So if a situation arises, maybe the hot water heater goes out of the house or the AC is not working properly, it's not a bad idea to have a credit card on hand to make sure that that credit card can be used in order to cover these types of expenses, which are not covered by my current income. Okay? But even with that, you want to make sure that you are managing your credit wisely and that although you have access to credit, you want to make sure you're paying the credit card bills on time and that you're not incurring too much interest by using the extra credit. So sometimes we have to finance things, right? We have to get loans for college tuition, cars, house, etc. You need to know how much can you afford to borrow, for how long, meaning when does that loan become due? Is it a 15-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage? Is the car note for 5 years, 7 years? And make sure you select a competitive interest rate, but these factors are going to be based upon your credit. So it's important that you pay your bills on time in order to maintain a good credit score that has an impact on your ability to obtain credit and what type of interest you're going to receive on that credit. So the lender will finance you money to make these large purchases, and also you may have your own money available as well. And when you combine those, so maybe this is for the down payment, I'll finance the rest of the purchase price to get the actual purchase item. So whenever you buy an item such as a car, again, a house, especially with a house, you have to have some money available for a down payment. The rest can be borrowed, but make sure that you understand the financing process when you're trying to make large purchases. Now, let's say that we do have enough funds to take care of our short-term needs, paying our rent or our mortgage, car note payment, bill, etc. Then if you have what we call excess funds, you don't want those to be too liquid. You want those funds to be invested. Because look at your current savings account or your checking account. What is the interest rate you're earning on those checking account or savings account? I'm listening. Yeah, it's pretty low. Probably less than 1%, which means that those funds are not yielding the highest return. So if you have excess funds, you want to think about things such as investments in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, items that are going to give you a higher rate of return off of your investment. Now, if you talk about stocks, mutual funds, even real estate, they're is some risk involved in making those type of investments. You want to keep your risk to a tolerable level, but typically the greater the risk, the higher the return. Planning for retirement. This is one thing that as Americans, we often do not get a good job of thinking about our retirement. I know you're young now, you're 20 years old, but you'll be 40 by tomorrow. So you want to start thinking now if there's a 401k or retirement plan offered your employer, you want to make sure you participate in that, put money aside, investing money now for your retirement so that when you reach the age of retirement, you're not scrambling trying to figure out how am I going to live for the rest of my life. Estate planning is something that we'll talk about a little bit more later, and this focuses on the distribution of your wealth upon your death. We won't talk about that too much right now. So this chart just shows, first we have your job, which would probably be your main source of income, which gives you your cash. We're now saying with the cash, what are you going to do with it? Some will probably be spent on products and services. Some may be used from the source of finance and maybe paying back loans, things of that nature. Some of your funds should be, your cash should go toward investments. Some should be for things like insurance. Insurance is another way to generate wealth, and we have a entire chapter about insurance. And part of your cash should be spent on investments. So you want to make sure that the income that you have coming in, that the income is being used wisely, and put together a financial plan will help you to manage the cash that you're receiving every week or every 2 weeks when you get paid from the actual employer. So with a financial plan, you want to think about financial goal. What are my goals? It's about a car, it's about a house, to become wealthy. You want to think about what are my financial goals and put an actual plan together. Your goals should be realistic, okay? You may say, well, I want to be a billionaire by next year. Well, for most of us, that's probably not realistic. So you want to make sure that your goals are realistic because then there's a strong likelihood that you can reach those goals if those goals are obtainable. The goals be broken down into your short-term goals within 1 year, immediate 1 to 5 year, and your long-term beyond 5 years. And these goals need to be adjusted as often as needed to make sure that you're staying on track, and you want to make sure that you're comparing your actuals against what you budgeted for. Okay? When you think about your current financial position, education, which I'm glad you all take this class, it is tied into your career and it's tied into your finance as well. Consider the fact that your skills and career path has a huge impact on your overall finances. So almost done here. So back in 08, 09, the market industry crashed, and because a lot of jobs were eliminated, reduction of new job opportunities, a lot of homes lost their value, and because of that, it put people in a bad position financially. So this is just showing a comparison of income at certain levels. So basically you see that the higher your educational level, typically the more income you have the chance of earning. And this last chart just shows the unemployment rates. It's 11% for those less than high school diploma, less than 2% with those with a doctoral degree. So basically, the further or the more education you have, the better chance you have of staying employed. Well, that will conclude our lecture for Chapter 1. Talk to you soon.